Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Happy Friday. I'm kicking off the weekend a little bit early. This local area schools are going to go live, well, for whatever that means, online on Monday. So, yeah, I spent part of the last day, yesterday a lot of the day, working with Zoom meetings and, getting set up for this online, this portal, that portal. Yeah, good thing kids these days are fairly early adopting technology. Otherwise, this would be rough. My 8-year-old, she's taken to it just fine. As long as we can get usernames and passwords to work, we're all set. Well, anyway, it is Friday, almost lunchtime. I wanted to do a video before I go in and have some lunch. This is Terry's XL-2. So I think it's an XL-2. Yeah. So I've already gone through and done just about everything, but he warned me. He's like, "Hey man, that spark plug didn't hold when I was checking everything out." He's like, "I don't know what happened." No, it's pretty common on these. See, that's trying to cross thread even as it goes in, but I'll show you. You think you're getting tight, and then I can almost spin it all the way around by hand. It'll spin all the way around. It's shot. So you can see those threads, pretty rough shape. Now I hate helicoils and inserts in spark plug seats, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Well, I picked up a new actual helicoil brand save-a-thread for the spark plug. This is a 14 millimeter. That's what all these little guys are. In fact, it might say, yeah, the tap itself, save-a-thread M14 by 1.25. So that's the threads on the spark plug. Obviously, the threads on the outside of the insert are going to be a little bit bigger than that. So you can see, well, here, you got to get this open anyway. The tap is a combo tap and drill. One thing I wish that Helicoil would put their damn stuff in some packaging that could be reused so that the tool doesn't go missing when you're not using it. Instead of this disaster that I'm going to have here. See, now it wants to halfway open. Isn't that nice? Well, anyway, I'm done griping. One nice thing, they give you some part numbers on the back for the threaded inserts. The various reaches. You can see there's 3 here. Small, medium, large, so to speak. In some cases, that little short guy is going to be the one you want. Now, these will work with a tapered seat, thankfully. See, look at the way. Little guy is what we want for a DJ7J that goes into this. We'll just, I got a CJ6 over here, or the equivalent thereof. If you've got an extended electrode, you could almost get away with it, but I don't know. I think I'm going to stock up on these real thin ones. That's a 3/8 reach. Now, it doesn't give you a size on there, but I know it is. So, anywho, let's make a thread repair. Now, there's a couple things you want to do. The saw shops back in the day didn't pull the cylinder apart when they were doing this. And there's a way to do it where you don't have to. This, of course, does not have... Oh, I take that back. You unfold it, there are. Lubricate tap. Start tap by hand. Turn with socket wrench until the hole is tapped to full depth. Clean chip sand from hole. Well, if I didn't know better, I'd say it was printed in China, which I think it was. Select insert. Length should be the same as threads on spark plug. Again, we just looked at that, so that's the short one. Knurled end of insert is the top end. So that means up top right here, closest to the seat of the spark plug. And in fact, I can see that this has a little taper to it so that we can keep using that tapered seat plug. And in theory, this is going to go down in there just past the taper on the head anyway. Screw, okay, this end should be coat outside threads with high temp RTV silicone. Now that's interesting. I have never seen that kind of instruction before. High strength silicone, doesn't say high temp, but I've got some stuff here that'll work. In all honesty, I'm kind of inclined to use some thread locker red on this insert, but we'll see. Screw insert into tapped hole until flush with top of hole. Re-tap hole if insert will not go in far enough. Spark plug may be used to aid insertion where hole is recessed. Place expanding tool in insert without turning. Hit it several times with a hammer. Do not hit too hard. Install spark plug to recommended torque. Engine should not be run until sealant has been given ample time to set. So, again, this is something that's a little bit unique to helicoil. So what that's going to do, you can see that that's got a tapered end on it. When you give it a couple good smacks, all those nice little ridges are going to push out into the aluminum and take a set. So in reality, whether it's silicone or thread locker, probably shouldn't matter. I'm going to follow the instructions. I'll use the silicone. I'm pretty sure it will work fine, especially seeing how this is going to set itself. I mean, that used to be my biggest gripe with these old setups. I had a couple, what was it, a 1010, I think, an old Mac 1010 that I had the old saw shop across the street when I was growing up. They installed a helicoil, or a helicoil threaded insert, very similar to this one. And it spun out the first time I removed the spark plug. This appears to be an improved version. Now, this XL-2, see if I grab the right Allen wrench here, has the old style muffler where you got to reach in here. There we go. Find the screw and unscrew it that way. Don't try and pry that cover off, because you're just going to destroy your muffler. Now what I want to do, I'm going to modify these instructions a little bit because I know of some things that'll work. And look at that. It has an adapter in the end so that we can put in a drill. And that's what we're going to do because I happen to like it that way. What I want to do is rotate this engine around until we get the piston. There we go. There. You don't want it all the way down because you don't want the piston to drop below the edge of the transfer ports so that aluminum shavings can get down in there. The idea is we're going to capture these on the top of the piston, blow this out with compressed air, good to go. There's also another step of insurance that we're going to take. I'm going to put this stuff back so that I don't misplace it. We're going to coat this tap with grease, and I'll show you why. It works really, really well. And I also want to make sure that I don't run this in so far that I'm going to contact a cylinder wall. We have to be careful not to get carried away. You don't want to go any further than you have to. Okay. So, just take your regular old brake grease, wheel bearing grease. I meant to say high temp disc brake grease, but I had an old can of just regular brake grease that I'm using. So, line your flutes here. That way, as chips come out, and they will, that's the whole point, you're cutting threads, they're going to get caught in that grease. And that will also serve as lubricant to keep the tap from getting hot. Now, we're not tapping enough here to actually get it hot, but you don't want it to gall the new threads either. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The only trick here Because that means before we can put that silicone in there to seal that thing up, we're going to have to use a little brake cleaner and really clean this sucker out. Alright, I'm not going to use the impact gun, I'm going to use an actual drill for a little more control. Come on, baby. Set it on the drill setting, number 1. Alright. Okay, so that's cutting into the old threads. And we're just now getting to the edge of where it's going to start reaming out and upsizing. Alright, see all those chips that are coming up? I'm going to look in here. I don't see it coming anywhere near the cylinder wall. So I'm going to keep going a little bit more. Yeah, I think we've gone far enough. Well, not quite. Not quite. I'm rethinking my decision not to use the impact gun here. I think that battery's getting a little weak, but try it. They installed a freaking spark plug guard in here. There we go. There we go. That's good. Much better. Alright. There we go. So it didn't catch them all, but it sure caught a lot. But I'll bet you guys will see a little shine in there. Yeah, you can see them rattling around. You can see them on the top of the piston. So, bear with me a moment while I go to my air compressor. And just like that, we have a clean cylinder. I'm going to hit it with some brake clean. And then hit it with a little more air. Now you can see by how big that hole got, you can't afford to screw this up. Because once you run that reamer in there and rethread it to a new thread size, there is no going back. Let me make sure these gloves are clean enough. And with their recommendation, I will use spark plug here as a guide to get that in. Just test that, see it's going to start okay. Beautiful. Whoop. Almost went too far. Alright. Like with any other sealant, I'm sure there's no reason to get carried away here. Just go with a coating that gets into the threads. It doesn't make a huge mess. And I'm just going to push it down into the threads here. If there ends up being a little extra on top, I can always clean that up later, but what you don't want is a bunch of extra down in the cylinder. I mean, silicone's not going to hurt anything necessarily, but if you had a gobbledygook bunch and it broke loose, you could start plugging up your muffler. So why do it? Alright, so we're going to thread this in. Get below the, or flush with the top of the cylinder. And now I'm pushing to the side on the spark plug just a little bit so that I can get it to come out, but not spin that insert with it. Alright, that insert, you see that, is flush with the top of the cylinder. Alright, now I didn't have this kit when I got this far. We need to smack this thing, but I don't want to smack the coil or the tanks, so we're going to try it on the side like that. I know my arm's in the way, but I'm just holding this straight and guiding it. Okay. Okay, I cannot move that with my finger. Spark plug threads in, sits flat. I can get it back out. Okay, we're going to let that sit and let it cure just as they recommended. This thing's already been on the bench for days while I was waiting for this threader kit to come in. Now I bought that at O'Reilly's, had it delivered, and just bought it online and had it delivered with all the fun crap going on these days. There it is. If you need one of these, save a thread, Helicoil brand 5334-14, right up there. And again, I'm going to be ordering a bunch of the R5326-14S, which is just the short insert. That type of tool, I mean, this should last me forever. Because you're always going to be installing this in aluminum. Well, okay. I will always be installing it in aluminum. It claims it works in aluminum and cast iron. Now, I don't have a lot of cast iron that I work on, but I figure this tap ought to last just about forever in aluminum. So now that I've got all this crap on there, I'm just going to get the brake clean out, clean it all off, and away we go. So there you go. If you have a stripped spark plug hole in an aluminum cylinder on a chainsaw, lawnmower, something like that, don't pitch it. This kit was $22, I think, might be $25. Well worth it. I mean, you figure what a cylinder head's going to cost? It's at least worth giving this a shot.